What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to my humble abode. Welcome to my casa. I got the home studio set up, so I'll be able to stream from here sometimes, which means we can do some night streams, some weekend streams, some emergency streams, but also make more content for all of you. Welcome to the show. How you doing? Hit that like button. My name's Kelly Kellum. Welcome to the BitLab Academy stream, where we break down the tools, the resources, the charts, the strategies, empowerment, everything you need to make sure that you can dominate in this space. Again, if you haven't yet, make sure you're hitting that like button, subscribing, dinging the bell on your way in, and get involved in the chat. Let's do a little bit of a roll call. How you doing? How you feeling? Say something here in chat. Where are you tuned in from? What city, what state, what country? Some of you might have done that before, but we always got new people in here. So every single one of you, as you roll in, again, make sure you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button, and ding the bell, and let us know where you're tuned in from. Are you bullish or bearish right now? We got some things that we got to cover on the charts, and some of them have to do with the halving, the rallies, what's going on with the profit taking, where we're at on that. Have we gotten enough profits being taken? Or is there a little bit still too many people that are in profit suggesting further downside? We also see the dollar pushing up. We got some stuff to talk about with the total market caps here on both the crypto for Bitcoin and Ethereum, as well as altcoins, as well as the CME futures. What's going on there with that CME gap? And we got to talk about these targets. So before we go any further, I want to tune in with every single one of you right now. Again, this is roll call time. As you roll in, make sure you look down below this video. And if you haven't yet, if this is your first time, I can guarantee you it's not going to be your last time. Make sure you are subscribing to this channel. So we got to talk about some things. We got to talk about some things, and that has to do with all of this speculation about what's going on with Grayscale. All the speculation about not even just speculation, but the coins actually coming out of Grayscale on this ETF launch, them rolling over from that GBTC trust to the ETF, and some of the people playing that negative premium, taking some capital out of the market, out of that specific market. Is it going to come back into other parts of the ETF market? For instance, BlackRock, Fidelity, 21 shares, all Bitwise. There's so many out there, but we can see right here with this post here from Bitcoin Archive. This is from Archie here. He said, just in, the 9 new Bitcoin ETFs are buying, you guessed it, over 12,000 Bitcoin every single day. Now, the problem with this is if we come over here, we go to Eric Baltunas. We go to Eric Baltunas. This Eric and James Seifert are the two that have been really leading the charge on all the information going on with the ETFs. Where is the tweet at? It's right here. The good news, GBTC outflows trending down, meaning it's starting to slow down. This also has to do with a lot of the sell pressure that we saw coming in from FTX unloading so many of their positions. I think it was like 22 million positions or something, or 22, I don't know, whatever it was over $1 billion. That added to a lot of the sell pressure there. The bad news, so are the nines. This means the net inflows on nines is kind of slowing down a little bit too. That leaves us with a total rolling net flow of 824 million. Also, ARK and Bitwise crossing $500 million is remarkable. So there's a lot of things going on in this market right now. Remember, we had a huge speculative push that drove the price of Bitcoin up, especially progressively more and more over the last 6 months, and leading ultimately to that January 10th date where we got the deadline and we got the approval, and the next day these ETFs were launched. So everybody's asking right now, I'm tired of hearing about the ETF. Who gives a crap about the ETF? What the hell is price going to do? So when we're looking right now and we're looking at the price, if we look at this just on a chart formation basis, don't use any other technicals, and we ignore all of it, and we look at just the charts, just like this. This is not telling me it's about to rip to the upside. It's not saying it's going to rip to the downside either. This is telling me there's a little bit of uncertainty in the market. Of course, if we look up here, if you ever see somebody's chart on the top left corner right here, this is a Bitcoin US dollar chart. This is a 1 week. So each candle is representative of 1 week. And we can see from this low right here all the way up to where we went, that represented an 81% increase. So why would we see an 81% increase in price valued in US dollars for Bitcoin without having some form of a pullback? Now, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I don't need to go into much detail on this, but where we're at right now represents about a 21% drop. And we can also see on these other drops that we had, this was roughly 20%. This was roughly 20%. This actually, let's do that a little better. This was, yeah, say about 18, 19%. This was just a little bit over 20% right there, right at 20%. So we're seeing the same thing over and over again, but we have not yet gotten any of these sort of drops like we've seen previously, minus 52%, minus 40, minus 40. In this case, I just want to point this out again because everybody's hoping that we do something like this and it looks different. Of course, it looks different on this cycle. I'm thinking that this cycle is going to feel a little bit more like this, where we have the accumulation at the bottom with a lot of chop. And then, of course, we had this sort of concerted push to the upside, sell-off, concerted push to the upside, sell-off. What we're seeing where we're at right now is very similar. If we zoom in on this, let me get my mouse set up. There we go. We're getting that rotation out of the bear market into the bull market here, especially if we draw this line right here and put this like this, right? Just like that. So we have this point, this point, this point, okay? Broke out of that. Everybody was talking about this right here. Everybody's forgetting about where we're at within this cycle. It feels like we've already broken out. Oh my God, we're coming. How come it's not going up? But when we look at where we're at, this is Q1. These pink lines here are Q1. Now, the other thing I mentioned on the Discover Crypto show is that everybody's talking about the sell-offs that have happened on large developments in Bitcoin in the past. For instance, the launch of the futures and then the launch of the futures ETF marking local tops. Those are represented right here and right here. Well, the problem with that is look at where this price action is in relationship to where the halving is. The halving has been the formula for how we understand these 4-year cycles of bull market post-halving. Sell off a little bit after that, right? This blow off top, in this case, we had a double top. We had two blow off tops in this early cycle, but then the large bear market accumulation, pre-halving push up, sell off. Okay. In this case, we had a large bear market and we had pretty large. This is over 100% gain and about a 40% pull off. Another 100% gain, about a 40% pullback. Where we're at right now, this is looking way more similar to what we're seeing here. So the question is going to be, are we going to get a little bit more of a pullback here, not accounting for 40 or 50 or 60% like we've seen previously, and then push up and then have another sell-off somewhere around this halving, which to me would make sense. Because if that were the case, and if we're looking at this on the price, then that would represent the price action. Let me go ahead and double click on this. This would represent the price action pulling down somewhere in here, pushing up, right? And getting some sort of pullback in here, or something like this, where this pulls back, pushes up, sells off, and get some people taking advantage of the fear that may come in when we get somewhere near this previous all-time high. We can't just be up and away. As bullish as things are in this market right now, we've got to be a little careful, especially if you're trading. If you're looking at longer term plays, then anywhere in this entire zone is an opportunity to buy. Why is that? This feels like such a huge drawback. And why would I buy if it could go here? Because it may not go here. This is my target. This is my target. And it says best opportunity, but it may never come. The flip side of that coin is that price action may come down to here and wick down and test somewhere down here into the 28 to 30 range. There's no way we can know exactly what's going to happen because we don't know what the events of the world are going to be over the next 6 months. Just like what was happening. Remember back here, July, this massive pump from 3,200 up to about 13.8. See this? This massive sell-off, 52%. Pre-halving pump was done. The pre-halving pump and then subsequent sell-off was done. Nobody could account for this. This is a global economic shutdown. The entire world shut down, something that has never happened in the history of ever. This is truly a black swan, okay? So you could not have accounted for this, but that does not make any of these times here bad opportunities to buy. It makes it a bad opportunity to buy if you don't have a strategy, and if you're the type of person that buys here on 100x long and then you get stopped out on these wicks, or this rolls over and you get stopped out like this. You've got to have a smart strategy that yes, you're taking on risk when you're getting in the market, but you don't want to exponentially increase that risk by taking on massive amounts of leverage or by subjecting yourself to the whims of your emotions in a market when you're fearful. We have to understand where things are going. And so that way, along the way, we don't move our capital into somebody else's pocket. So the question is right now, everybody that's here on stream, we got 171 people watching right now. Every single one of you needs to hit that like button. Show some love to crypto. Let YouTube know you like this kind of content. This is a positive, empowering space. And I got to ask each one of you, what are you grateful for right now? If you've already been trading, if you've already been navigating the charts and you haven't asked yourself what you're grateful for, then that means you're coming from a place of need versus a place of abundance. And we need to come from a place of abundance so that we can act without being needy in the market. If you are needy in the market, all you do is end up needing more capital because you're giving your capital away. Let me say that again. We have to operate from a place of abundance, because if we're needy in this market, your neediness will translate to you giving your money to somebody else with the better strategy. So as silly as it sounds, practice this simple step of just asking yourself what you're grateful for. Ask yourself what your goals are. Ask yourself what your strategy is to achieve those goals. And by framing your mind in a place of positivity and abundance, having a strategy, and then figuring out what your action plan is, you are going to achieve your goals so much faster. And that doesn't just work in markets, that works in every aspect of your life. So with that being said, I think we need to talk about what's going on in these charts, because we have some levels we got to look at. We got to talk about some altcoins. We got to talk about Bitcoin prices, and we got to talk about some other things. So let's continue on with what we're talking about. Now, I did say 28,000, and look at this. I brought this up on the Discover Crypto stream, but let's look at this. As bullish as I am, maybe we don't get down to 34, which means we would not get down to this level. But I have to be aware of this chart, because this does suggest a possibility. A possibility based on historical trends gives you an outline of what could happen. So as bullish as I am, I'm looking at a very bearish scenario. Now, in all actuality, $28,000 really isn't that bearish, because $28,000, where we're at right now, this is $32,000, these previous range highs. $28,000 is roughly just below the 786 of this move, this Fibonacci retracement from this low to this high. Right here, this target is what I'm looking at, is this $34,000 target, which is representative, sitting right above the golden pocket from this move. This would also be representative of holding above this previous range high. But what if the market, especially as institutions come in and bigger players come in and smarter money comes in, they look at this and they say, well, we can push the market around, especially if we get, here's what we need to pay attention to. If the price comes down into the zone and we see open interest on leveraged positions, derivatives, people taking exponential trades on the margin that they're providing, basically exposing their capital to exponential risk. If there's longs coming in at huge in droves at this level, this would provide an opportunity for a very quick long squeeze down, which would sit basically a long squeeze. If this price pushed down and we force close a bunch of open interest, if this comes down into this area and we are forcing those market players to close their positions, we could get a very quick move down, which would still regionally be right on target for what we want to see. Price coming down, testing this region. Testing, let me more specifically, this region here. So this would mean price coming down to this level, and on a, for instance, a weekly candle basis, the weekly candle basis closing still somewhere in this region, but having a wick down in here on a long squeeze that really pushes the market down very quickly, only to get bought back up and close still in this region. We have to pay attention to what the possibilities are so that we can be prepared. I see all these lab coats in the chat. Shout out to all the members that are here: Sawtooth, Quarter Crawler, Green Day Prophets, Alexander G, Theo Rodriguez. How you doing? Always here. Cargo Karma. And so many other people, Crimson Caravan. Big love to each and every one of you here. I want to see some emojis in here. I want to see some positivity. And I want you guys to throw in some altcoins that you'd like to see some TA on. And we will try to get through quite a few of those, because we need to be prepared to stack into our positions to make sure that we are in the right place with where we want to be holding these different assets before this market cycle happens. This trend is marked by the halving. This gap is marked by where we're at in terms of right now leading up to this halving. This is just outlining what happened previously, and we are coming up on that zone. Anything right now, anything that you buy within the crypto market in the top 100, so long as you have a positive longer-term approach, midterm to longer-term approach, is a good buy, especially if you are diversifying your portfolio. Altcoins can still drop another 40 to 60%. Bitcoin could still drop another 20 to 40% itself. But the point is, we have no idea what's going to happen with these news narratives and these different things going on in the market over the next 2-3 months. That's going to either make it rocket ship up from here or break down from here. So if we're looking at trying to take advantage of this move, taking advantage of this move is a longer term play. Considering that sort of thinking, then this means when we're looking at the price action with where we're at right now, this is why I'm talking about so much lately, figuring out places to ladder your entries. Because remember, we're talking about this right here, this chart I put together over a year ago, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. The trend is your friend until the end. And we have started. Shout out to Green Day Profits giving 5 memberships. Big love. We got Teo Rodriguez in there. Tiggle Biddy's in there. Dee Rychar's in there. Megan, I thought I said Meg now. Megan W. Shout out to all the new members here. Big love to each and every one of you. Explore those emojis. Everybody keep this going. Not much, just catching up with Kelly's Alpha. Shout out to Army Piper. Hey, we got to get you back on here, do some TA. Maybe next week. Let me know. Shout out to you also for getting on the Hit Network 24/7 stream. But this is a master chart every single one of you should be watching on a regular basis. Market cycle trading cheat sheet. This is showing you, and remember, this is relevant to not only the macro. This could be a 5-minute time frame. You could see, you could be in an uptrend on the weekly charts, but be playing a 1-hour time frame market cycle like this. This is a full market cycle. But you have to understand that if you are in a macro uptrend, then the dominant focus you should have and be very aware of is, where are you looking to take risk on buying the dip? So you're looking for buys dominantly when you're coming into this area. These are the most opportune areas. Shorting this is not. This is the most opportune area. Trying to short this is not. It's more important that you find out where to buy in a midterm to macro uptrend than it is to sell. Similarly, when you're in a downtrend, it's more important that you're looking for opportunities to either exit your position from the longer term long or to take short plays when you come back up into that trend zone. That also, you look at the chart patterns, the candlesticks, all the data sets that we talk about here on a daily basis to get out of positions or take a short position to play the downside price action. So many people look at this and they don't know where they're at within the market cycle. And every time it dips, they buy. And then it goes up. They don't get out. Then they buy. It goes up. They don't get out. And they buy. Which is a fine strategy if you have the conviction to hold all the way through the downtrend and not have this go so low that you finally capitulate out of the entire positions that you've bought through all of these dip buying opportunities. We're in the dip buying market right now. The question is, how do you ladder those entries? So when we're looking at this is why I have this level marked out. From this low right here to this high, the golden pocket, $34,000, also perfectly in line with this support coming into this zone. So let's talk about it. A couple other things I wanted to talk about right here is look at the Bitcoin halving rallies. You see these halvings? This is a halving, the big white line right here, halving. 3.5x into this. What is that? 340%. That's what 3.4 is 340%. 340% gain from here to here. But then from the halving, 30x from there. Okay, from here we had a 2.7x, and this is not accounting for the gain that was from 3,200 up to 14,000. That was a much larger X, but then we had the pullback. But from here to here, 2.7x. And then from this point forward, the larger gain. So what this is really outlining, yes, there's gains through different parts of the market, but what this is really outlining, especially if you're somebody who's been sitting on the sidelines and you're not really sure when to get in, where, how, why, your emotions, trading strategy, all that nonsense, right? And it is nonsense until you understand it. It's that the halving period right here, the region around the halving, marks the best risk-adjusted portion of the market cycle to get exposure to Bitcoin. Will you miss out on some of these gains? Sure. Will you miss out on some of these gains? Could you have played this market cycle from the top to the high to the low? Yes. But the majority of players in the space don't have the conviction or the strategies to really understand this. So right here, we've had pre-halving pumps and pullbacks, massive pump pullback. But then from this point forward, yes, you still have a bit, 15% swings here up and down, but predominantly the trend is up post-halving. And now consider this. Consider that we have the Bitcoin spot ETFs, 9 of them. BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK Invest, over 10,000. We said 12 earlier. I think this is going to go down. I think we're going to have a dip here and it's going to go back up. But over 10,000 Bitcoin a day being added to these positions. This is showing institutional and retail interest outside the crypto space getting exposure to Bitcoin. And the floodgates haven't even opened yet. So this is what I'm excited about. So let's talk about this. Now, where we're at right now, we need to watch a little bit more for the global liquidity to tick up, but this is all going to come in due time. So let's talk about where we're at right now on this market. And by the way, make sure you're getting in the Discord because there's been some really great charts and things just being outlined in here from John Dalton and Corduroy, myself, Joshua Jake in here sharing his gems and basically different liquidation points and his windshield wiper method, as well as his calls. There's been so much alpha that's been shared in here on, a daily basis. So make sure you're getting in the Discord. And there was something specifically I was looking for. It's not scalps. Let's see, VIP. There it is. So yeah, Corduroy was talking about this zone that we're in right now. No change on the monthly or weekly time frame at the moment. The range low at the bottom of the upper blue box, so right here, the range low is coming in around 40,150, and that currently is the main resistance. This is the key level. The previous range support comes in at around $38,000. So what we want to pay attention to on that is this is very similar to what I was looking at here. He's talking about this range. If we break this down, let's go to the 8-hour. This is that range broken down to the 8-hour. So we have more resolution here as to what's going on within the charts. This sort of zone right here, look at this pushing up, this retrace up. Price action came up into this previous range, these wick downs, right? These range lows. We also have these range candles, these candles that ranged all the way down here, bounced here. But not only did they bounce here, they provided us a stopping point on the chart to look for. If we go like this, option J gives us a trend line. We see wick. We see the wick kind of came through this, but then we see a wick bouncing right about it, right below it. And now we're finding resistance right on this level. So this is going to be a pretty big marker here on whether or not we are going to make an attempt higher or whether or not we're going to, chase down to this zone down here, that $38,000 mark, in which case, if we lose 38,000, that's when I think that we're going to be going down and making our headway towards the range somewhere down in the $34,000 to $36,000 range. And I am giddy about this. I am excited about this because this would mean if price is coming down into these levels, this means that we have an opportunity to stack those sats before the bull market truly explodes. I want this to happen, but I also want this to happen so badly that I'm aware that I might have a bit of a bullish bias, a bias here for the price action to come down into this zone. So I'm not going to put 100% of my buy orders right at this area. I'm putting my buy orders to come right here. Let's go from this level right here, option F. Oh, sorry. That's not what I want to do. Option F from this level right here all the way to the top. We're just getting some markers on the chart. And look at this. Look at where we're at right now. Let's go ahead and delete this one. That's not what I wanted to delete. let's go delete this one. Option F. We're going from right here to the top. And just look at where we're at right now. Does this give you context? What do you see? What do you see when I did that? From this point right here, this inflection where we also bounced right here, up to this top, look at where the price is broken down to. Came down, lost this 382, came up, rejected at it, came down, and look, it's bouncing right at the golden pocket from this move right here. We are testing a key area, and we just talked about this. If we lost this sort of zone, especially down into this $38,000 level, I think that, you know, we do have a little bit of an argument to be made. God damn it. We do have a little bit of an argument to be made that yeah, it's 36,000. That's what I was just saying, 34 to 36,000. So this is an area that I'd really be watching. It's another sort of sub-target. This is, what am I doing here? You're asking why am I, we talked about 34,000. What I'm doing here is I'm providing myself context for where I can ladder my entries and take advantage of the best average of price, as this does or does not come further down. Because in this case, see this covers these previous range tops, came down, bounced on this currently. If we do get rejected here, filling a little bit in here, filling a little bit in here, filling a little bit in here. This way you're breaking up and you're getting the average of these three entries. If it only comes down into here, you still get to add to your position. And then as this moves up, so on and so forth. We've been talking about this for days. So I just have to reemphasize this and let you guys know what's going on here. Let's see, get 100 likes. 43 more. Yeah, everybody hit that like button. Let's get over 100. We got well over 100 people in here, so every single one of you should be hitting that like button. What is I want to know, every single one of you on here, what is your target for where you think on this pullback? Do you think we've bottomed? Do you think the price, do you have a specific target in mind that you think this is the price most likely it's going to go to? Do you think I'm out of my mind? Do you think it's going to go back down below 28, down into the low 20s? I'm curious what you guys have to say about where you think prices are going. So let's go ahead and zoom out of this a little bit. I want to look over here at Ethereum. All right. Now let's go ahead. I'm going to zoom out on this because I want to just make sure I know what I'm looking at with because I do so many charts. Okay. So this is a low right here that I used as a gateway, essentially, projected across for where potential price action could have a little bit of a headache. We can see, we're looking at the weekly chart. The price action broke out of this large, flat level of resistance, rising level of support, essentially we can move this like this. Yeah. This is essentially a ascending triangle. Let's turn off the other indicators and we can see a rising level of support, flat level of resistance. Price action broke out of this and got trapped right at the previous range, the larger range, the macro range lows right here. Not only one time, but we had a bounce here, giving us a lot of substantial sort of price memory at this zone. So as this broke out, everybody wants to say it's going to 5,000. Well, things don't just go 100% up. Things need to stop. They need to build the stairs. You have to build the stairs. You want push up, stair, push up, stair, push up. That's the rise, retrace, continuation. Okay. So what we're seeing right now is the attempt to have this bull market started on Ethereum. And, you know, it has made pretty substantial headway. I mean, think about this. From this low right here all the way to that top, that's a 66% move. But that's nothing like what we're seeing in some of the other alts. It's nothing like what we saw in Bitcoin over the last year. So when we're looking at this and say, okay, well, what's going on? Well, why did it stop? Well, we know it had this level right here. And currently, everything's sort of hinged on what's going on with this capital flow with the ETF, as well as where we're at pre-halving. We had a little mini market cycle with a huge pump on Bitcoin over the last 6 months, and altcoins were ripping their faces off. Everybody said this is alt season. No, that was not alt season. That was a small, you're going to laugh at that when you see this in a year and the amount that these coins rip. That was a small rotation of capital from Bitcoin was pushing. Everybody's riding the coattails. Some people started taking profit off of Bitcoin and rotated that into some of the altcoins. And we've seen that time and time again. But we have this barrier which is ultimately the halving that's coming up, which is actually not only a barrier, it's a gateway towards some of the best gains that we see in any market cycle. So what we're seeing right now isn't out of context. Price action broke this level, came up into the zone that we had outlined. This is on the weekly. So let's get down to the 4 hour. Let's get some better resolution. Okay, it came up into the zone. It actually broke through this zone, found support, got a little bit of a rejection, came back down, found support, a little bit of a rejection, formed a downtrend with these two levels right there. And look at that. Once we came back into it, we rejected off of it also because now we're falling through this macro support that when we broke through this, we're coming down to test this as support. We held. So on this this attempt to go higher and finding a rejection, forming this trend line, when the price comes down lower, showing that the bears have more resolve, then this suggests that when this comes up, when this touches this, there's a higher likelihood of this breaking down because we've also established a downtrend. What do we get? Price, just loses it here because we're not just getting rejected at this level. We're getting rejected at this level while at the same time losing this macro level that we just pointed out that we had broken through. So what does this mean? First things first that I notice is that all of this bearishness here, see all these red, see all these red markings that we have? These are the various signals that are here within the BitLab trend fuel. Bearish VWAP, bearish stochastics, the RSI looks a little neutral, which is why it's gray. Stochastics are bearish. What is this one right here? I forget what the S is. Hold on a second. Too many arrows. Point is, majority of the signals are setting up for potential bearishness, and we got that. We're getting that bearishness, but we're coming down now to that next level down, which is where all these previous range lows. See this? Bounce, 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 bounce. And what do we do? Bounce. So the bounce, however, is not a V-shaped recovery, which means strong bullishness coming in and bouncing out of this. What we're getting here is a bounce and a little bit of an opportunity for basically a bull trap in this. And there's not a lot of bulls that are really buying into it. So it's coming right back down. The question is going to be where we're at right now. Is there any underlying bullishness that's going to take us higher? Because as it stands right now, looking at this signal right here, BitLab Trend Fuel, a lot of bearishness in the money flow. Money's coming out. Part of this may have to do something with the Ethereum ETF application getting delayed to March. I've been telling you guys that the deadline on that is in May. We knew that these things always get delayed until the last minute. The SEC, whether or not they're competent or incompetent, we see how much they've had to focus on Bitcoin over the last 6 months. They probably hadn't put much energy at all towards the Ethereum ETF. Of course, this was going to get delayed. So we see money coming out. We see the stochastics rolling over. We see, look at this. Here's the 50 line is right here, option J. See, I'm looking at the 50 line of this entire setup. The RSI is coming up into basically under the 50%. So it's on the weaker half of the strength. RSI, relative strength index. It's staying in the weaker half, the bearish half, and the stochastics coming down. And look at this. We can see right here, this momentum wave is rolling over. So it'll be interesting to see if we get better resolution. Let's get down to the 1 hour. I bet it's expanded. Yeah, so this was that right there. And it's kind of expanding there a little bit. Now we're seeing money flow come out more. Stochastics coming down, RSI coming down on the smaller time frame here. So if we're looking at this in relationship to the chart, then this is telling me that, look at this. We've got a trend line here on the stochastics. So each time it's come up into this, look at this, price down. Come up into this, price down. Come up into this, price down. So we're really watching like a hawk this level right here, which is the area at which this has bounced. We had a little bit of a wick there, sure. But this is predominantly the area we're watching right in here. So is this come all the way up in here? Look at that. So this finds a little support, resistance. And this looks like a bit mean, it looks like a bit of a bear flag, which we measure this just like this. I'm going to do this a little conservatively. Where does this take us? This takes us to 1967. Is this something that you would have targeted a month ago? No, things look like they're going up, up, and away. Now, do I think it's going to get to 1967? Let's put a line there. Option H. We see the target. Now, let's see if there's any confluence with other stuff. Well, there's a lot of, bouncing in this region. Let's go out to the 8-hour. Okay. We'll move this just like this. Because we got rejection, this bouncing right here. So this would give me a little bit of a box right in here for a potential target, which would be a pretty substantial, pretty good buy opportunity if it gets down into this zone. Now, remember, we talked about this a second ago. We are in an uptrend on the market. We're in the face of a little bit of a pullback right now, but the pullback is marked by these. As it stands right now, with so much underlying bullishness on everything, I'm not sure if we're going to get all the way down into this zone. So what do? Come over here to this move. I'm going to do it from about right here. My mouse is going so slow. Option F from the bottom all the way up into here. Look at that. Golden pocket, which is directly below us. So I expect that if the price does lose this level, we'll have some interaction right in here in the 2100 to 2130 sort of range. This is a golden pocket. So I'm looking for an opportunity in here, and what the strength is, what's going on with the different, the money flow, the stochastics, the RSI, all of these things which are pointed out here in the BitLab trading stack on the trend fuel down here on the bottom. But then also we don't have let's turn on the indicators, turn on the volume. So a lot going on the screen right now. Turn off these. There. So now just looking at the indicators without the lines. See, this when we lost the weekly VWAP, we came down and found resistance. Now where we're at right now, if we do get any bounce, I'm looking for a rejection somewhere in this zone. We have the order block right here, as well as a weekly VWAP right up here in the 2297, 2300. If we do get an impulse to the upside, this is also marked right about where this low was. And look at all these different, this low, this high, this low, and the weekly VWAP all in here. If we do get a move up here, I'm watching for if we can break that 2293, 2300 level. If we start falling from here, then we're looking at down here in this order block, this 2072 sort of range. But let's see, this is on the 8-hour. Let's get down to the 4-hour. There we go. So that, see, we're sitting in the order block right now, which is why we hadn't fallen. There's a lot of liquidity interest here. So the next level down is this 2070. And what does it look like with all of our lines drawn? Is there any confluence? So we have some levels along the way. We have some levels along the way that we can watch for to stack into this if this continues to break down. Now let's go ahead. I want to look at Arbitrum. Arbitrum, F yeah. I'm not sure if she sent me or not. No, so that was from before. All right. I know what you guys want to see. It's all good. ETH 10K realistic? Hell yeah, ETH 10K is realistic. I think somewhere in the $12,000 to $18,000 range, probably 12 I think is a fairly conservative for where it can go at the height of the bull market for sure. But we have a lot of work to do to get there. So let's be patient with everything. So now when we're looking at this, I just want you to, we're looking at Arbitrum. We talked about this, fix my mic there a little bit. We talked about this potentially breaking down just from this archingness here, this roundingness, the lack of momentum coming to the upside, M formation, price action coming down. We have big unlocks coming up, I think, relatively soon as well for Arbitrum this year. And we see this getting rejected in the zone. If we cannot hold, if this ends up being a higher low, then maybe we make another attempt up here into this $1.88 region, which is right at the point of control of the volume indicator right here, this big teal line, but also on the volume indicator. That's what all these red and green boxes are. This indicator, the BitLab trading stack, automatically adds these onto your charts to show you where there's high liquidity interest, where price action can find support, resistance, and almost a little bit of a magnet to come back to. So we saw this coming down into this, came into this order block. Now we're pushed up. We have no initiative to the upside. Why? Price came up into here, tested these previous range lows, and is rolling back over. As it stands right now, let's look at the trend fuel. Negative money flow, stochastics down, RSI down. If I had to guess, this may chop a little bit in here, but is likely going to test down in here to the $1.57 range again. If we lose that, then likely coming down here into the $1.40 range. I'm looking at the price action in relationship to the order blocks, in relationship to what's happening in terms of this trend fuel, suggesting what direction the narrative wants to take the market. So I wanted to do here we go, option F. Look at where we came to. Makes sense now. Came all the way down to the golden pocket. Bounce back up. I expect we'll test back in here again. And remember that $1.40 range I was just talking about down here in the order block? It's perfectly in line right with where about the 786 is. Right here, which is at, I can barely see that. $1.36 is the 786. So in this region, seems like a good opportunity if we get down into this zone. What is, let me go through some of this. We looked at a bunch of stuff yesterday. I want to look at optimism. Optimism just looking round as it can be, right? And we have this trend line, bounce, 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 bounce. See this wick? Bounce, we lost it. Came back up, finding a rejection. This is telling me, and remember here with this potential cup and handle that we were talking about yesterday, and then today it just looks like an M formation. It was a couple days, I don't remember how long ago, it wasn't yesterday. But the target down here, I'm still in line with this target, this previous range high, right down here at 237, 234, 237, this sort of zone. And we have an order block directly below that at 224. So somewhere in this region, I'm watching for a price to come down to and test what the strength, looking at these signals, is the money flow still expanding negatively, meaning money coming out of the market. If you're expecting a bounce and the money flow is expanding purple here on the money flow, or if you're on, for instance, if you're on traditional indicators like this, if you see money flow expanding negative right now, it's sitting a little bit stagnant, but it's still negative money flow. Stochastics are getting overheated all the way up here, and it hadn't even made a bullish move. RSI is quite low. The look at this. The MACD is, the histogram's rolling over. If we look at market cipher, negative money flow. If we look at Lux Algo, look at this. Oscillator matrix coming up, finding resistance right about this 50 line. It's starting to roll over, looking like it's trying to make another attempt down. This is telling me that things want to test at least this low again, 264, and more likely coming back down to test this region. If we lose that, then we're going to have to look at the next region, which is down here at $1.89. Now, THETA. How many of you out there have been trading THETA? Yeah, we got 141 people in the room. I think each and every one of you, if every single one of you looks below this video right now, gives it that thumbs up. It lets YouTube know this content is, you like crypto content, and you're also helping the channel, and you're showing some love. I'm over here doing this for you hours at a time, every day, breaking things down. Hit that like button. Join us here in this family. Now, coming back over to the BitLab trading stack, finding resistances up in here. Look at this, finding resistance. We had the bearish signal right when we came up into the order block, right in here. We're on the 4-hour chart on THETA. And where we come down to, this came all the way down to test right into the order block that was printed all the way back here on November 21st. So as it stands right now, what do we do? Well, let's go ahead and use some of our TA here, form a bit of a There we go. Trend line there. Rejection, rejection, rejection. And now it's looking like it's getting a little weaker currently because this rejection was before this line. This is why on this chart right here, I show, see how this right here says not all pullbacks go back to the trend line. Look at the candlestick patterns and confluence of other signals to identify trade entries, whether it's going to bounce or reject. Essentially, this is what we're seeing. Picture perfect right here. It didn't make it all the way back up into this zone. So if, for instance, if you took a long and you're scalping and you're trying to trade this to the trend line on some high leverage, well, then as this price action is pushing up, we see weakness around this trend signal line, comes down, finds support, but then we get the expansion like we're about to move up, but then we get 3 candles in a row that suggest a weakness in narrative. Bit of a spinning top. Lack of narrative, can't break, even though it's a bullish candle, can't break past any high that's relative in this area. Then we immediately get basically a breakdown candle, a hammer candle. It's like you're hammering the top of an archway to knock a brick out, and what happened? The brick fell out. Boom, brick fell out. Now, the saving grace here is that we're finding support currently at the moment on this trend signal line, but the stochastics are angled down. The money flow is negative. If we get down here on, let's say, the 24-minute, look at that, expanding momentum to the downside. This does look like it does want to make some sort of attempt to the upside, but I feel like it's going to be very weak. So what's going on with Solana? We haven't, look at this round. This is 24 minutes. This is zoomed in. We all know what it's we've been watching this for days. These levels that we've been looking at on Solana. Let's actually go over here to this chart right here. Was it there? Yeah. That's where's that chart at? I have it somewhere in here. This is that level that we've been watching for days. I said, if we lose this, let's watch for potential downside. We did lose it. We came back up, but now we're finding rejection at these previous range lows. How could we have known that? Because the candles are telling us the story. On this move to the upside, let's draw a little bit of a trend line. A little bit of a trend line here. A little bit of a trend line here as it's rejecting along. And then now we're rounding out. We're rounding out. If we get down to the, for instance, 24-minute, see this? We can even delete that. It's these angles, the angle at which this is up, and then this is angled, and then you see this, it's further angled. This is another way you can really see that the bullish momentum is losing over time, which means the bearish momentum will start to gather strength because the bulls will no longer have the means by which to support this at this level. Ultimately, we're at a level right now where we're looking like we're setting up for another test to the downside, which could be down here to 80, 78 to 80 sort of range is lows. And if we lose those 78 to 80 lows, then we're looking at that $74 mark sort of target as the next spot. So I'm very bullish. I'm talking about downside, but goddamn, I am so bullish about what's coming. And I'm less inclined to be looking at the targets on a lot of these assets, you know, down those lower targets that I was outlining, just so we could see them earlier in this week and late last week. As price is holding at this level with all these outflows and not a lot of new inflows currently the last day or two on the ETFs, there's a little concern there, but the price is holding relatively good. I'm watching for potential washout wicks to the upside or to the downside. The downside is more likely right now. So be careful for traps. Be smart with what you're doing. And by the way, being smart with what you're doing in this market also means, that's right, making sure that you do your taxes. If you're not doing them now, that's fine. Go to this website right now, decrypted.tax/hit. The link is also down in the description. I'm sure Alexander G, or one of the mods, will share it in the chat here as well. Make sure you can get a free consultation. Just set it up, book now, figure out, you know, you may not think that you've done a lot of trades, and then you start plugging these things in, especially when you're on MEXC and Blowfin and BitGet and Coinbase. If you're on multiple exchanges and you're doing trades, say you traded to Ethereum. If you traded to Ethereum and you just tried to do the trade, that trade could have affected 67 trades because it's sold off in little pieces within the order book, right? If you don't know how to do your crypto taxes, I really recommend getting set up. You can take advantage of our special pricing here. Use a crypto tax professional so you don't get yourself in a bad situation, you know, going into the last day or not even doing it till the end of the year. And I'm telling you, get it. Make sure that you handle your taxes and use this. And again, make sure you get in our Discord. Come in here, make some chart requests, right? Where's it at? Chart request is somewhere here, right here. Boom. Make some chart requests. We break things down. You can also get in the members chat, share different thoughts and ideas, and go explore all this different stuff in the members area of the BitLab Discord if you are a premium member, which just means coming here to bitlabacademy.com, hitting that enroll now button. When you click on that, you can choose if you want access to just the courses and Discord, which essentially the courses helps break these things down step by step. And with that, you also get the access to all those premium channels. If you want the indicators as well, you can get the BitLab Pro right here. That gives you the courses, the premium Discord, and the indicators. If you want just the indicators, come right here to indicators at the top of the page. Sign up right in there. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. You know, I just want to last before we go. This is at total market cap, which is all the altcoins. And when the price was over here, I drew this chart when this was over here saying, watch for the total market, all these altcoins. There's going to be a bit of a pullback in the altcoins. I outlined this back here. I think it was even before this area. It was somewhere around the 12th or 13th. And what did we get? We came right down, essentially right to where I pointed on this arrow. So make sure you're tuning in here every day. Make sure you're getting involved in the Discord. Drop some comments down below after this video is over. Let me know what you learned. Let me know what you want to see. I'm all about shaping this stuff towards what you guys want and getting more involved in the Discord and seeing all you in there on a daily basis. I love you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you check out decrypted.tax and go and share a chart. Share your latest chart that you did TA on if you're in the Discord. Remember, there's free Discord too at the top, the open chat. Share the most recent TA you did. Open it up for critique. See what you could do better. Let's all grow together. Let's see what you're looking at. Also, you can share it in the members chat if you're in the premium area. Big love to you all. Hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. That's all I got. Adios, muchachos. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for being here. Hope to see you over again. Hit that like button, sucker. Get in the Discord. Check out bitlabacademy.com. Adios.